There's something you said there I'd like to zoom in on if you don't mind. You mentioned that there's people out there that might be going through, have kind of a rough go of learning jiu-jitsu. They just feel like they're not able to apply the things that are being taught. And I think it's great that you're mindful of that, of not overwhelming them further by adding, hey, I know you're having a hard time shrimping and things like that. Here's a berimbolo, so I could totally see where that would make things worse. For students out there listening that might feel like they are just not absorbing things as fast as some of their classmates, what are things that you like to do with students that you notice are kind of struggling like that? Do you have particular goals you like to set for them? What advice would you give that might help someone in a position like that?
Generally, if someone says that, or if I know, obviously there's like people, there's how fast they learn, but then there's people who are like, will come up like, oh, it's just like, I don't feel like I'm doing well and so on. And I'll usually say like, okay, well, what guard do you play? And quite often they're like, they sit there and think for a while, and I'm like, oh, you don't have a plan. That's the biggest problem. Like,
yeah,
you don't need to, I think if you're going to class and trying to remember everything and then trying to like pull off all the different moves you've learned in class when you roll, it's too much. It's not like the right, like even I know a lot of, obviously I've been training 20 years. I know a lot of different things, but when I'm rolling, I've usually just got like I'm going to use this position today, or, I'm just very, competition roll might be different, but like when I'm training, I'm just thinking like I'm getting to this position and I'm working this particular technique. And I think the first thing is just like have a guard and have a, what kind of pass, if they say I can't pass guard, it's like, what kind of pass are you trying to do? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, that's a problem. Like try to like just have a thing. Because once you've got that, you're like, I'm trying to do this. Then you ask better questions, Then you're like, I'm trying to do this, but they grab my leg. Okay, cool. Well, then to deal with that, I can help you because, we can stop them grabbing your leg by doing this. All right. Give them, they try again, new problem. And then, they'll run into thousands of problems, but at least that way you can kind of like, they can learn by troubleshooting and getting rid of the things that are blocking them from achieving an objective. And that's a lot better way to learn, I think, than just trying to, in the moment, think of what move to do when you're a bit overwhelmed,
That's something I went through personally myself as a purple, actually as a new purple belt. It's something that I struggled with open guard in particular. I found myself not having a go-to position. I would sort of, I knew how to use obviously like De La Hiva, X guard, single leg X, spider, all the options that are available in open guard, but I didn't have one that I like was my go-to position. It was more like I was responding to whatever my opponent was trying to do that would sort of dictate what I would try to use, which kept my game at a very random reactionary sort of state of defending myself and not really using a guard as an attack position. It was more just, hey, he's trying to pass this way and he's standing, let me try to use spider to stop that. Or hey, if he's coming low, let me try to use a shin shield, rather than me pushing my game on him, right? And an old friend of mine, John Thomas from Alliance, used to be at Alliance headquarters with me, told me like, dude, you need to pick a variation, like, because he said the same thing, like, what guard do you play? And I said, well, I just kind of cycle through whatever I have available. He's like, yeah, let's pick one and go with that. So do you feel like having a first move is half the battle most of the time?
Yeah, I think so. At least then you've got, like you say, I mean, I think there's, especially as you get to like higher levels, it really matters who's like, it could be the same position, but like who's just like controlling the grips a little bit better and who's being assertive. I think that matters so much as to who's going to win. Once you let a good opponent get good grips, it's like you're all defense, and they're able to like chain things and work really well. So I think just by having like a go-to first move, it might not be one move. It could be that you're looking for a couple of reactions off a specific scenario, but like having like something to go to just makes it much more likely that you're the aggressor and taking the grips that you want and controlling the grip battle, and then it starts to go in your favor a lot more.
Definitely, yeah, yeah, and obviously grips, like you said, grips are such an important factor of the game. What are some of your favorite principles when it comes to grip fighting? Like, what are some things that you really try to instill in people early on so that they understand how to grip fight and to prevent getting having their opponent get perfect grips before they can?
I mean, it depends whether a grip. I suppose there's like grip fights with your arms, and there's also like legs,
Right,
legs
yeah.
versus arms as well, which is kind of, I don't know if I'll call it grips with the legs, but yeah, it's like like you always want to win the pummel. Like with your legs, you're generally looking to have the inside position on their arms. Like their arms are trying to grip your legs. You want your feet to go like on their bicep or their armpit. They want to be circling the inside of your leg and control you. So try to get your feet on the inside. I really actually like the armpit. I think that's like a very, you can probably see if you're watching this, you can probably see, but like it's one of the hardest places to reach with your hand to clear a grip is your armpit. So if someone's like puts in your armpit, it's hard to clear. So if we're talking about like leg battles, I often try to pummel my feet like right into the armpit, or even just my shins in the armpit, and it's very difficult for them to clear my leg compared to like a bicep, which can be kind of swatted away a lot easier, I think. In terms of hand fighting, I think a lot of the time with hand fighting, it's like it's a weird one, but whoever reaches first often like gives the other person a good chance at control. Like when you're controlling someone with a hand fight, you want to have their wrist or usually wrist or elbow or whatever, but you want to have your arms very tight to your body. And I think a problem a lot of people have is they want to win the hand fight and they reach out very far, and it's actually very easy for your opponent to control you, then grab your wrist, and they have their arms tight to their body. So I would say actually it's a little bit of a battle of, it's like in this one, actually, a lot of the time it's whoever reaches first starts to give up a little bit of control. And I'm not saying don't reach, but don't like overextend too much. So try to control there. And then some other general principles like getting their arm across body, so you're exposing their tricep a little bit, is almost always a good thing. Keep their elbows away from their hips. I always try to keep their elbows. Once like something like a 2-on-1, you block their elbow, they lose the ability to control access, like to block their hip with their arm. So then you can like shoot into something like a K guard or step on their hip if you like triangles and so on as well. So.